but I prefer talking as an activist and using simple language that can reach out to many more people. He can deal with the technical issues. I'm sorry about that.
I'll be speaking Latin.
Okay, you always have a challenge. When you have two lawyers sitting in front of you, then you know you might have a longer session. I'll keep it short. The most important thing when you talk about Bill C-323 is a moral question. We should be able to ask ourselves, assuming we are sitting in front of our television set. On the television, they are showing us footage of US soldiers in Afghanistan beating up civilians, killing civilians, raping their women, because we don't want to assume our women will be raped, raping their women, and killing children. Would you just stand and say, no, that does not concern us? Assume that you're looking at Canadian soldiers, particularly doing the same. Would you say, no, that is done in a foreign country, has nothing to do with us? Move it closer. If the same soldiers from the US were doing that in Canada, to our women, to our children, would you have different feelings? Would that share? So this is a very important moral question. As we are looking at this, we have to reach down inside ourselves, despite all the legal technicalities that we're going to deal with as lawyers. But the moral question is, as Canadians, where do we stand? Protection of human rights is a global obligation. It has no color, it has no race, it has no flag. We need to support this bill because it is the only way we can show Canada is a serious protector of human rights and lives to its global obligation of protecting humanity. The other moral question is, when Canadian companies go outside the country, whether they are registered, only registered in Canada, or they are purely Canadian, or there's a bone of contention, they fly Canadian flag. They are seen as Canadians. They are using your money. The pensioners' money. Now CEDA is even giving them money. Your hard-earned money. How does it feel when at the end of the day you receive dividends and you realize it's blood money? It's a moral question. There are a lot of other legal questions that we might be asking ourselves. There are questions about jurisdiction. Is a Canadian company operating outside the country liable for prosecution for crime done outside the country? If this company is registered in the stock exchange, Toronto Stock Exchange, don't we have obligation to question and ask ourselves how this company is operating out there? People will invoke the issues of sovereignty. Hey, if you do this, we'll be interfering with Tanzania's judicial system will be interfering with Sierra Leone or any other country where our companies operate. But does it mean because they are not operating in our country, the crime that they are doing outside under the Canadian flag is not a crime in Canada? If somebody does drugs in Colombia, for example, why do we extradite that person, for example, or to the US? It's because a crime committed outside the country constitutes a crime in Canada. If it was not a crime, then yeah, we'd be happy with that. So supporting this bill will be responding to the fact that a crime committed anywhere in this world is a crime in Canada. And if it's a crime, our country, our state organs should be used to address that. I know there's a lot of discussion about jurisdiction, sovereignty, and all that. But I want to challenge you. What liberalization has brought has twofold. It has opened up opportunity for the corporations to abuse us in the South, but it has also brought opportunities for the South to respond. And this should be a two-way traffic. I'll give you an example. When you talk about sovereignty, we cannot interfere with what is happening in Tanzania. We cannot interfere with the internal processes, judicial processes. It's already happening. It is already happening. Do you know that Canadian companies operating all over the world are protected by bilateral agreements, which actually denies the countries to take action or to adversely affect the interests of Canadian corporations in other countries. I was part of a group which was here 2 years ago to advocate against Canadian foreign investment promotion and protection agreement, which Tanzania is a signatory. And what does that mean? It means Canadian government is protecting corporations, blocking countries to have policy space to decide what is good for themselves. So if you're talking about sovereignty, in that case, it's already compromised. Do you know Canadian companies operating outside this country are protected under international law by mineral development agreements, which are seen as superior to our local laws? Our governments have entered into agreements with these companies, and the disputes under these agreements are arbitrated outside the country in international commercial courts.